Let your body talk, talk. Make your body talk, talk.
You sexy by the way you think, my lover. Sweetest thing ever since your love from Ghana. I wanna raise my kids with you as their mama. Make me believe you, girl, my Yankasa. African girl, show them. Show them. Ghanaian girl, show them. Show them. Cameroonian girl, show them. Show them. Jamaican girl, show them. Show them. Move it round, 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 round. Make me
All right, thank you all for tuning in to WJT 98.3 FM, your voice, your music, your station. My name is Jeff Badu, and I'm a licensed certified public accountant and a serial entrepreneur. I'm the owner and founder of Badu Enterprises, which is a multinational conglomerate in the financial industry. What we do is we provide a suite of financial services, including tax preparation, representation, financial coaching or counseling, credit repair services, everything that you need for your financial house or your financial picture, we essentially offer them. So today we'll be talking about a fairly interesting topic on property taxes. So we'll specifically mainly be talking about Cook County property taxes. So if you live in Chicago or if you live in the state of Illinois and you own a property in Cook County, this will be most relevant to you. But the general principle does apply to probably, majority of the counties or states out there. So today we'll be focusing on Cook County property taxes, but the concept itself can certainly apply to basically any scenario that's out there. But before we do that, we'll usually kick it off with a market report. So this report is as of April 5th, 2019. So that's as of last Friday. So stocks essentially marked a second consecutive week of solid gains, led by the small caps of the Russell 2000 and the tech-heavy NASDAQ. The S&P 500 recorded 7 consecutive days of gains through last Friday, the longest such streak since 2017. Once again, investors heard positive rhetoric relative to a trade deal with China. So, investors do get excited every time these international countries are doing business with the U.S. This time, President Trump announced that an epic deal could be in a not-too-distant future. Long-term bond prices slipped, evidenced by the rise in the yield of 10-year treasuries. Essentially, what happens is that when bond prices move in the opposite direction, or bond prices do move in the opposite direction of bond yields. So as bond prices go up, the yields or the rate goes down. Following the last 2 weeks of trading, each of the benchmark indexes essentially have reached year-to-date gains, comfortably exceeding their 2018 closing values. The price of the price of crude oil went up $60.19 per barrel to $63.26. Price of COMEX gold went down $12.97 to $12.95.90. So far, year to date, we're posting some pretty big numbers. But basically, the Dow Jones is up 13.28% this year. NASDAQ is up 19.64%. S&P 500 is up 15.39%. Russell 2000 is up 17.35%. And Global Dow is up 12.26%. Federal funds rate did not change. We're still having increased interest rates this year. So we're at 2.25 to 2.5 percentage as far as benchmark index interest rates. And so what this tells me, or what my advice to everybody, and take it with a grain of salt, do whatever you want with the advice, but you have to invest in the market, in some way, shape, or form. It doesn't have to be your full, you don't have to take all your money and dump it in the stock market. But what this tells me is that if you've been investing over time, you should be doing pretty well right now. For example, if you invested at the beginning of last year, 2018, and you're still holding today, you're probably up about 40%. Let's say you've been investing in NASDAQ or tech stocks, technology stocks like Apple, Tesla, Microsoft, Facebook, Amazon, these big giant companies, Google. If you've been investing in these companies, you should be doing really, really well right now if you're in the stocks. Now, can things go down? Of course. We've seen at the end of 2018 that the stock market went down. That's possible, but look where we are right now. We just went right back up. We're up almost 20% so far. It's only April, and we're up 20% in NASDAQ. I mean, the tech-heavy NASDAQ. And who knows where we'll go from here. And I can tell you, I see us only rising from here. There's no signs whatsoever of anything slowing down. Can it happen? Of course it can. But usually you get signs, and there's different, that's why we go through a market report. There's different tips, tricks. I personally follow the market every single day, so I know exactly what's going on in the market right now. And I can tell you it's a great time to be an investor. They call it compound interest. At a bare minimum, if you've taken $1, you've put it into the market, and you did that 10 years ago, and you looked at your account today, if you hadn't at least doubled or tripled your money, then you've done yourself a huge service. So that dollar should at a bare minimum turn into $3 if you've been investing in some of these indexes over the past 10 years. So that's my little spiel on the markets. I mean, I'm an investor myself. I invest every single day. Every single day for the rest of my life, I'll be investing money, not just in the stock market. Remember, we're not just doing stocks. We also talk about gold. We talk about, treasuries. We talk about real estate. We talk about car rentals. We talk about a lot of different things. So this one is mainly referring to the stock market. But I would say, the key is you have to let your money grow. You got to be able to invest the money. If your money is just sitting, or better yet, it's not there at all, or you're just spending it, then that's a problem, because money needs to grow, and over time, we've seen that money does grow. So it's very important to be able to take a percentage of money, or take just a portion and put it away towards the future. So for me personally, I invest every single day. That's how I keep track. Every single day for the rest of my life, I will invest money. Not everyone is fortunate enough to do that, but at a bare minimum, you should be investing frequently. And I highly recommend that you get on some type of automated plan. Great book to read is The Automatic Millionaire. I love that book. I would say there are certain concepts in there that I don't agree with, but 90% of that book I think is pretty spot on. Pretty much put your wealth building on automation. Put your investment plan on automation. They have sites like Acorns, Robinhood, Stash, all these different sites where money gets invested automatically. Love those sites because all you have to do is set it and forget it. It's just like a bill, that monthly bill that you've put on autopay. Why not put your investment plan on autopay? They call the concept pay yourself first. Instead of setting up all these autopays, why not set up your investment plan first and then you set up your autopays? So that's and at a bare minimum, you should be saving 10% of your gross income towards retirement/investing. And I do highly recommend that you start off using retirement or asset protected vehicles such as retirement plans, and then you use that in order to invest the money ultimately. So that's my little spiel when it comes to investing. It's very important that you invest money in the future. Yes, you can lose all your money, but what's the chances of that happening if you know what you're doing, or if you at least have somebody on your team, or if you've been at least following some things on the market and all that good stuff. Me personally, remember, I follow the markets every single day, so I know exactly what's going on in the markets right now. With that being said, let's get into the presentation. We'll be talking about property taxes, specifically Cook County. Cook County, or some people, excuse the no pun intended, but some people might call it Crook County. Cook County is one of those counties where it's when it comes to property taxes, it's very tough. Cook County has very well known to overassess properties. Very, very well known fact. Now, one of the reasons why they do this is because people don't appeal their property taxes. They don't have the knowledge. They don't have, they're too busy working or doing whatever they do in order to appeal these property taxes. They don't know when they buy the home, there's no education, there's no knowledge. They don't read books. They don't, they just buy this home, pay off the mortgage, or pay their mortgage over time, and that's it. But today I'm here to educate you on taxes. Remember, one of my goals in life is to make as many people as financially literate as possible. My purpose in life is to empower people financially, or to encourage people to live a better life financially. So property taxes can be huge when it comes to your personal budget, when it comes to your wealth building strategy, money saved, or money that's not paid, or money that's money that you don't pay unnecessarily that you can invest is money earned, money saved. Compound interest can really prove this point. So let's talk about property taxes a little bit. So most people are overpaying in property taxes. I would say about over 63% of the properties you see in the state of Illinois alone are overassessed. Over 63%. And as we may know, Cook County just went up in property taxes as a percentage, not the assessment. Now, they did assess, and they do overassess, but the percentage itself that they use on the assessment has actually gone up as well. So not only has the property value assessed values gone up, but also the percentage they tied to the assessed value has gone up too. So most people are overpaying on their property taxes, and this is across the U.S. This is across everywhere, especially in Cook County, or some people might say Crook County. And I don't blame them for overassessing. Hey, these are their rules. And all you have to do is appeal it. They give you the right as a taxpayer, as a property taxpayer. You have the right to appeal your property taxes. We'll talk about that in a second. And full disclosure, we do, as a part of Badu Enterprises, we do own a property tax appeal company. So we own a company that all they do is appeal property taxes. It's known as Badu Appeals. That's all we do. It's an automated system. You go to baduappeals.com, you type in your property's address, and we have a machine or an algorithm that can scan up to 1,000 properties within 5 seconds near you to pull comps directly for you, instead of you going on Zillow or all these sites pulling up, or MLS pulling up these comps, spending time unnecessarily, when you can just go to a site. We pull the comps for you, and then if you're looking to proceed with the appeal, we'll handle that for you as well. Currently, we're really only in Cook County, but we can also appeal in other counties in Illinois. But so properties are being overassessed, and it's very important that we know this, or it's very important that we find ways to combat this. So now that you know that you're probably overpaying on your property taxes if you own a property in the U.S. or specifically in Cook County, this is definitely the presentation for you. And this doesn't apply to just residential properties. This applies to commercial. This does not only apply to personal properties. This also applies to investment properties. So if you own a piece of real estate and even the land, if you own a piece of real estate in some way, shape, or form, this definitely impacts you. So property taxes are assessed, or is assessed, on the perceived, keyword, quote unquote, please put quotes around this, the perceived value of the property, typically valued every 3 years. So the assessed value of the property gets assessed, or the value of the property gets assessed every 3 years. That's how they do it in Cook County. Some counties are different, but specifically in Cook County, that's usually how we do it. And as I said before, over 63% of the properties in the state of Illinois alone are overassessed, which is very important to know. Now, your property value is compared to other similar properties in your area, what we call comparables or comps. When you buy a piece of real estate, it's the same process. When the appraiser goes out to appraise your property, they'll look at a set of comps in order to compare it to your property. So your property value is compared to other similar properties in your area, and your property is assessed at a value in between. Usually it's in between three properties, so in between those three values. What they'll do is they'll play any, mini, money, mo, pick three properties and, close proximity, similar size, bedroom, bathroom, square footage, and all that good stuff. And they'll take that property and take that assessed value and compare, assign it to your property. So this might be unfair. Well, what if one of those properties, it's brand new? It's just, clean, brand new. Of course, it's going to have higher property taxes. And what if there's three of those on your block, and your property is this old house that hasn't been renovated in about 20 years? Well, you'll probably be overassessed because those are the closest comparables or comps to your area. How do you combat that? You simply appeal, saying, hey, these are the comps in the area, but if you pay close attention, these 3 properties are essentially more modernized than mine. So why should I be paying the same amount as them? And that's what we do too. At our company, at Badu Appeals, all we do is we literally make the case. We have an attorney that works in the back office. The attorney is the one that processes all the appeals, and the system provides the comps to the attorney to make a case to the Cook County boards, and we'll talk about who those board members are. So your property, when it comes to property taxes, your property is compared to usually 3 properties in your area in close proximity, similar bedroom, bathroom, square footage, all that good stuff. Now, how do you combat this? So you know you're being overassessed. You know how your property taxes are determined. Now, how do you actually combat this, or what can you do? What you can do is you can appeal your property taxes. You know, very important as a taxpayer or as a property tax or property owner, you can appeal your property taxes. As a matter of fact, in Cook County, you can appeal your property taxes up to 3 times a year. Very important. You can appeal at the assessor level, the Board of Review level, and then the Illinois Property Tax Appeal Board, which is basically the Supreme Court of property taxes in Illinois. So you can appeal at one of these 3 levels. So you can appeal at all these levels or just one of these levels. Doesn't really matter. Recommended you start off at the bottom level, the assessor level. They'll usually turn you down. And then when you go to the Board of Review, they'll take you more serious. And then you go to the Illinois Property Tax Appeal Board, or PTAB, and they'll take you a lot more serious because they know you're a fighter. And guess what happens? Once they know that you're a fighter, they're probably not going to want to overassess you because you're just going to keep fighting the case. They have to pay their attorneys to defend, all that good stuff. So most people don't appeal, and that's why they just keep getting overassessed every single year. Remember, financial education, financial literacy is very important. It's those who are in the know that usually make it. Those who don't know usually don't make it. So it's very important that you are in the know, that you know at least that you can appeal your property taxes. And if you are not appealing your property taxes, you absolutely want to. For all of my properties, we appeal them every single year because we do not believe in overpaying in taxes. That's a common principle among all of my companies and me personally as a human being. Now, good tax planning does not only consider income taxes, but it also considers property taxes. So very important as you build your tax strategy. Hopefully you have one. But as you build your tax strategy, you should also incorporate property taxes as well as income taxes. So very important to know those things. Now, you can appeal your, you can appeal basically in several ways. You can go through an attorney. That's what most people do. An attorney will usually take about 30 to 50% of the savings. Good thing is they usually won't charge you up front, so they'll charge you a percentage based off the savings, which is fine, or you can appeal through an external company, such as Badu Appeals, for example. We run a property tax appeal company. All the company does is we go out and we appeal property taxes. We just appealed one for a client this week, actually. Those are 2 ways. And then, of course, you can do it on your own. I'm never a believer in do-it-yourself. I'm not a DIYer. Do-it-yourself to me is just a poor man's way of living, in my opinion. There's certain things you can do. I mean, if you know how to do taxes, by all means, please do your own taxes. But if you don't know anything about taxes, you don't know anything about Cook County property taxes, you don't know anything about accounting, you don't know anything about comps, real estate, any of that, you have no business at all trying to appeal your property taxes. As a matter of fact, if you use a professional, you're probably going to save more, just like using a professional for anything. Can a professional mess up? Of course. Things happen. Is it likely? Probably not. They went to school, they did training, education in order to master the skill to help you appeal your property taxes. So I use, of course, my own company, Badu Appeals. We own a lot of properties in Cook County right now. So every single property gets appealed through the company. And I do the same for all of my clients. In our tax firm, we have almost 2,000 clients on our books. Every single client that owns a property, we always send them a package saying, hey, did you know you can appeal your property taxes in Cook County? We have a lot of clients. Our real estate investors, for example, they own a lot of properties, and they can all appeal their property taxes. And remember, this can apply to residential, commercial, doesn't really matter. They'll just go out, look at the comps. Commercial is a lot more complicated because there's not really a lot of comps for commercial. So literally, there has to be a lot more due diligence done when it comes to that. Now, I'll share you a story. One of my friends, a close friend of mine, he's one of my first clients in a tax appeal company. And he basically said, hey, my property taxes are too high. He owns a house, and it's in the south suburbs. And basically, we appealed the taxes, and he ended up coming out $1,500 in the green. So he saved $1,500 just by appealing the property taxes just 1 year. Now, had he done it over the next 3 years, he would see it $1,500, $1,500 every single. So it's very critical that you appeal your property taxes. It's extremely, extremely critical. Now, once you appeal the property taxes, the county, Cook County or any of these counties are going to be scared. They're going to be afraid to overassess you. So what's going to happen is you're basically not going to be paying as much as you were in the past. So if you save now, you're really saving in the future. So if you save $1,500 now and your property taxes are the same the following year, you've effectively saved another $1,500 because they would have kept overassessing you. And if you multiply this by 10 years, 15 years, that's a huge return on investment. So that's one thing to note. And then, and you should appeal each and every year, and if possibly at all three levels. I mean, that's what I do. I appeal every single year at all three levels. The company does it. You pay a one-time fee. We charge a flat rate, and we'll appeal all three levels for you. No questions asked. You just docu-sign a few documents. It goes to the attorney. The attorney does what he does best, and the appeal gets processed. And always know your deadlines. Usually the deadlines, we love summertime. Trust me. We get really busy from January through April because of tax season. And then from April or from May all the way throughout, let's say August or September, we go through property tax. And then also with income taxes, that's when the IRS starts sending letters. So believe it or not, we get really busy in the summertime as well. And then September and October is our extension filing period. So we get really busy around that time too. So when do we actually get free? Perhaps November and December. Usually that's when we go on vacations and all that. But we, of course, got to get ready for the following year, the following tax season. So at my firm or my companies, we don't get free too much. It does slow down a little bit after tax season. And oh, by the way, next Monday is the official tax day or tax filing deadline to file your taxes. Now, one thing to not get confused, you can always file an extension, which allows you an extra 6 months to file, or you can be, basically, you can wait 3 years, which I don't recommend doing. You can wait 3 years until, 3 years after April 15th, and you basically still get to file it in. Don't recommend that, especially if you're an investor and you're a time value of money geek like I am. So very important, though, to know your deadlines. Every township. So in the Cook County, we're broken up by townships. You have the Lakeview Township, Hyde Park Township. You have a lot of different townships. And so always know your deadline. You can find it online. All the deadlines are posted online when you type in Cook County property tax deadline. Townships are usually open for a short period of time throughout the year, typically 30 days. And that's usually between each of the three levels. So basically, if you're looking at assessor level, Board of Review, Illinois Property Tax Appeal Board, those are usually done within 30 days, 30-day interval. So very important. If you miss this deadline, you have to go to the next level. And if you miss the first deadline, it's fine. You just go to the next level. But it's better to start off at the first level because then they'll see how much fight you have in you. And the goal with these people is they want to see fight. Once you're fighting, then for sure they will be able to reduce your property taxes. And then keep in mind, too, very important, property taxes are paid in arrears. So in 2019, we're paying 2018's property taxes. In 2020, we'll be paying 2019's property taxes. So when we appeal in 2019, we are actually appealing 2019's property taxes. So it's very important to keep this in mind. Property taxes, just like income taxes, property taxes are paid in arrears, meaning that we're always a year behind. Or in the current year, we're always paying for the previous year. Now, with my company, the special thing that we do is that we will give you a refund. If you're not happy with your appeal, or if it's unsuccessful, if for whatever reason you're not happy, we only saved you $100 when we told you $1,000. We'll refund you your money, or we'll do another appeal for you for free. And we do have an over 90% success rate with appeals because we have an algorithm, a system that allows us to scan up to 1,000 properties in the area. So it's very important that you take it, and it's free. It's a free scan. You don't have to pay anything for this. So it's very, you do have to pay when you appeal, but you don't have to pay to do the scan. We'll send you some comps for free too. So I think it's a pretty neat system that we have. And then be very careful too. When you're appealing and you have certain exemptions, most importantly, the senior freeze or the senior exemption, when you're appealing, it could take away some of these things. For example, if you've locked in, a senior freeze is basically you locking in your property taxes for life, essentially. Once you turn a certain age, you can freeze your property taxes. So if you're appealing and you've already froze it, well, and there is some like ways around this, but if you've frozen higher property taxes and you appeal it, they might not grant you that because you've already frozen your property taxes. So it's very important that if you have certain exemptions, mainly the senior exemption or the senior freeze, you want to make sure that you consult first before you actually go ahead and appeal your property taxes. And remember, I know there's a lot of DIYers, do-it-yourselfers, so it's very important that you consult with a professional, either an attorney or a professional property tax appeal company. And then if you don't have enough comps in your area, it's going to be very hard to appeal. Just like when you're buying a piece of property, you don't have enough comps, they're going to have to use different methods for the appraisal. Same thing here. If you don't have enough comps, let's say you do your new construction building, and you're the only, let's say, 6 flat on the block where you're surrounded by 4 flats, well, that's going to be hard to appeal because you're not really going to have enough good comps. So we're going to have to use different methods to appeal your property taxes. And then if you live in a condo, please do not appeal your property taxes on your own. Please consult with the board and have them. If they don't do this already, most boards do this. Please have them. This is, in my condo board, this is what we do. We appeal as a group. We have an attorney. I wish they would have used my company. But we have an attorney that does all the appeals. And so the condo as a group is appealed, not just my unit itself. So to conclude, taxes are typically a person's biggest expense. About 40% of a person's income, gross income that is, goes towards taxes. So it's very important that we understand these things. It's very important that we learn how to minimize taxes so that we can stop being in a financial hole. And please, when you save some of this money, or when you get tax savings, when you work with a tax professional, or you appeal your taxes and you get a refund, don't go out and go to Vegas with that money. Don't start going on vacations. Don't start investing for the future. That's how you build wealth, is by investing. You don't build wealth by splurging. I would say when it comes to money, once you save the money, the critical step is to make sure that you've actually invested that money. It's very, very, very critical. So please do not forget to appeal your property taxes. It is extremely important to appeal them because Cook County and other counties are over-assessing you right now if you're not appealing. And if you would like to appeal, I would be more than happy to help you out. As a matter of fact, I don't ever need to be involved in the process. We have an automated system. You go to Badu Appeals, www.baduappeals.com. You go to the search or the residential and you hit search. Type in your property address or PIN number. You'll get the report. And then you can decide to proceed with an appeal. Once you proceed with an appeal, you sit back, relax. It does take some time for them to appeal it and all that stuff, but you sit back, relax, wait for your check to come in, or your property taxes will be reduced as reflected on your tax bill. So this is very important stuff. Remember, taxes make up 40% of a person's budget. That's a steep, very steep number. So it's very important that we appeal our property taxes. And if you do need help, I'll be more than happy to assist you. If you go to BaduAppeals.com, we can help you. If you, for some reason, need an attorney to do it, we also have attorneys that help out as well. So that's it for the presentation. I definitely thank you all for tuning in. And remember, it's very important that we invest money. We have to be able to invest the money that we save and the money that we earn. Start getting on an automated plan. Wealth building, if only you knew how simple wealth building really was. And you might think it's hard, like, oh, it's the most impossible thing in the world, saving $10 a day, $5 a day. People spend money on Starbucks, $5 a day. Why not put that into an investment fund over 40 years, earning a 9% annualized rate? You'll have $700,000 sitting in your nest egg. The average American doesn't even have, $20,000 saving in the bank. And you're talking about retiring. You're talking about making a living. You're talking about building a legacy, building a future. And if you can't save $5 a day, that's a big problem. So for me, I started off by saving $5, or I should say not saving, investing $5 a day. That was my commitment. That was 2 years ago. I committed to saving or investing $5 a day for the rest of my life. And what happened was that, money was taken out just like auto pay. It was just like these auto pays. Oh, hey, $5 every day taken out. Okay, well, at a certain point, I didn't even see it. And then I was like, okay, well, let me raise it up to $10 a day. Let's double it. And then this year, I said my bare minimum is $150 a day. And then next year, I'm going to do $300 minimum per day. Just to test myself, just to see if I could do it. And if I told you that if you invested $150 a day for the rest of, for the next 40 years growing at a, let's say, 9% rate, that's over $10 million that's going to end up in your account. That's a legacy. That's the ability to give back to the causes that you care about, to not live in financial distress, to live an abundant lifestyle that you truly deserve and you truly want. When it comes to wealth building, it's very important that we incorporate these principles. They're so simple. And if you need mindset, if you need a book that can help you, please read books such as Rich Dad, Poor Dad, The Automatic Millionaire. Stuff is so simple. You just got to learn it. Somebody just has to tell you about it. But once you learn it, and the Automatic Millionaire is only a 5-hour book. It's a book that would take you 5 hours to, I use the audiobook, so for me it takes me 5 hours to listen. And that book truly changed the way that I see or that I handle my finances a little bit. So now everything is on automation. My bill pay is on automation. So are my investments on automation. Now some investments such as real estate, of course, we can't put that on automation. But these stock funds, index funds, ETFs and all that, we put it on automation. Can you lose money? Of course. But if you know what you're doing, or if you have a fairly good idea of what you're doing, then how could you lose money? I always tell people, crossing the street, a 5-year-old crossing the street is much riskier than you investing money. So when it comes to risk is calculated. Risk is something you calculate. A gamble is something you don't calculate. Playing a lottery is a full gamble, unless you had a dream, and that dream specifically told you to play that lottery that day. Now, that's a calculated risk. But most people are out here gambling. So just a little. Just maybe take out, let's say that you spend $100 on clothing, or let's make it more realistic. You spend $10 on Starbucks every day. Just take $5 out of that and put it into an Acorns account every day. And in the next 40 years, let's revisit the conversation and tell me how much money you have in that account. So it's very important that we automate our investments, and we also automate some of the things that we do. It's very important. Remember, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, The Automatic Millionaire, great books to read. So with that being said, thank you all for tuning in to WGAT 98.3 FM, your voice, your music, your station. My name is Jeff Badu, and I look forward to continuously delivering you all some content. Next week, I will not be here because, for one, it is tax day. Two, I'm actually teaching a class at the Chicago Urban League, and I'm also hosting a firm party. We throw a party every year during tax day. You know, the last day of tax season, we always throw a party. So, unfortunately, will not be here, but the following week, I will be here to do a tax season recap, to talk about what happened during tax season, how we can improve some of the things that I've seen, giving you some advice, you know, some free tax advice. Take it with a grain of salt as usual. But thank you all once again for tuning in to WGHT 98.3 FM, your voice, your music, your station. My name is Jeff Badu, and I look forward to delivering you all some content. Thank you.
You're listening to WGHT 98.3 FM.
Why yo, but we are nothing's friend. From the first time, want to trust in stand. Why yo, get anything you like.